Okay, let's see if you can hear me now. Can you hear me? Okay, let's see if you can hear me now. Can you hear me? Okay. All right. So I've confirmed audio. I'm just going to start today's class. Today, we are going to finally be building the app, and we would have two different um all right, thank you for that. So this week we would have two sessions because we are right. We've started to do the work. Okay, so our tool of choice is called Glide. So you're going to go to glide.com and you will click on this sign up button to create an account. So you can create an account for free on Glide, and that's what you're going to use. So as I'm speaking right now, if you can create your account immediately after we have finished the class, make sure that you do it instantly. Okay. Um, so when you create your account, it will now bring you a beginner tutorial like this, like a private app and all of that. And if you look at this dashboard here, you see introduction to Glide, getting started, data layout, uh, data editor, layout, and quite uh, a host of things that would you would find useful. The only reason why we haven't used any of this at the moment is because they have some very uh, how would I put it, technical information on it that might confuse you. So here's what I'm going to advise you. When we are done with this boot camp, you can actually come in here and learn more about glides. But for now, just focus on just focus on what we have taught you. Now, you also want to make sure that you open up your user flow. Remember the user flow that we created, right? This today we're going to use this user flow. We are going to access this user flow as we create the pages that we are creating on our mobile application. Are we together? So whenever you start to build out your application, your mobile app, always make sure that the user flow that you have mapped out is visible, is open next to you so that you can say, oh, okay, so this page, how many pages am I going to have? On the back end, how many pages would that cost? Would I need to create workflow for this? Do you understand? Okay. Right, so let's quickly take a look again at our user flow. And well done on the user flows that your groups turned in. You ladies did pretty well. Um, and I'm super proud of you. I know that by the time you take the pain to practice how design your workflow, you would find it a little more easy, a lot easier for you to design. Now, for our mobile application, we have a tab here, which means that this is what is visible to people, okay, on the lower part of the app, and I will show you. It also shows how many pages that you want to have. So here we have all our pages. We have one static page, home page, dashboard, to-do list page, and a calendar page. So we have one, two, three, four, five different pages. Now on our tab, we would have three links, icons, one to the home page, one to the dashboard, and the other one to the to-do list page. Now, from the home page, we will have to create a form. From the dashboard, we'll create a profile, which means how is that even for that? So you have from the dashboard, if you click on the dashboard, your profile will come up. You click on the home page, your form will come up. You click on the to-do list page, you can see pending task and completed task. So right now, let's go into our Glide app, and I'm going to click new. It will give you options. So you create a basic app, or use AI to generate your app, or use a blank app. For the purpose of this class, we will be using a blank app. Now, if you create basic app, it will bring some information up for you, but it may not be what we want. If you use AI, you are cutting corners. So you want to learn how to build the blank app, then you can use AI next time. Why? AI requires that you use a prompt. So you have to be able to say specifically what your app will do, how many pages it will have. Do you get? So using maximizing artificial intelligence is it actually comes from understanding what your application is meant to do in the first place. Okay, so for today's class, I'm starting blank. The other options that you have is to import a file. Start with Google Sheets, use Airtable, use Excel Sheets, Glide Bigtable, Cloud SQL, and all of that. BigQuery. There are different options for you to start. And of course, this is the advanced stuff. So don't bother your head too much. Let's just click start with blank and then click create your app. So it will create a blank slate for you to start with on your mobile app. Before we go very far, we are going to quickly take a look at this canvas, which is where we'll be doing our design. Take a look at this canvas, which is where we will be designing our mobile app. On your left-hand side here are the components. These components provide you with drag and drop features that you can drag to your mobile app, that you can, design, place anywhere. You can edit. I mean, the components are here. Now, some of these components are pre-designed. For instance, you could see a form. The form already comes with name, email, and an enter button. So that's an already pre-designed component, which you can now take a step further and customize. Remember the class that we had on drag and drop features, right? It is a very powerful feature of no-code apps or no-code platforms because it allows us to be able to customize the application that we are designing. So that is where you find it here with these components. On this upper part is your navigation. This is where all of your pages are. So this is where we create new pages, extra pages, and they show up here. Now, the difference between this navigation and this menu is that the pages that you put in here will show up on your tab. But the ones that you put in here will show up on this place, this side here. Can you see? So you can choose where they show up. You can choose to move. Oh, okay, sorry, I've mixed that up. The menu shows up here on the dashboard. Oh, it shows up here. Okay, no worries. It's not even something I want to give myself headache for right now. Yeah. So it shows up in here and the navigation shows up here. But then you can have the ones on the navigation not show up on the tab. So for instance, if your app has a total of 10 pages and you don't want all 10 pages to show up here, you can actually, you know, you can set it up in such a way that they will not show up, and I'll show you how. So that's it for the navigation and the components. Here is data, layout, and actions. Now, the data is the back end of the app. Remember that when we were talking about your applications, we discussed front end, we discussed back end, right? So the front end of your app is what people see. But the front end of your app, the way that it works is powered by the back end. The way that your front end works is powered by your back end. So you have to set up the back end. Now, for all of the different pages, the information that shows up on your back end, on your front end, should also exist on your back end on these tables, and I will show you how that works. Okay, so the information is here, but on the layout. So let's quickly look at this user profile as an example. If you click user profile, can you see this is what shows up? But this thing showing up, all you can see here is title photo, right? But the data that provides it is here. So this is the data: name, Oluwabamike Adebayo, email, photo, and role. This is where the data is housed, but this is where it is shown. Why? Because I can choose to show it in any way that I like. This is where I work on the drag and drop feature. For instance, if I don't like this kind of profile and I want it to be this way, or I prefer this design instead. Okay, this is the same design. Or I prefer this design instead. Can you see? So different ways of displaying the same information so that I am able to customize the look of my application. It's still the same information, right? You can see my picture, you see my name, you see my email address. Picture, name, email address, right? So it is still the same information displayed in different ways. Why? It has gotten its information from this line. So you need to know that the information that you're able to display on any page will be determined by the information that you have on the back end. Are we together? Okay. If I'm going too fast for you, please just tell me. Okay. Now, the third one is the action. This is where you create specific actions that your app will take. Remember when we spoke about the workflow? So you're able to create an action and say, if the user interacts with calendar page, for instance, and it clicks a button, what should it do? Open this. So this is where you set up the workflow. Remember when we spoke about workflows being about the triggers and the action? So the trigger is the user clicked on the button. It clicked on this specific button. If they click on this specific button, what action should happen on the back end? You should open another page. So that's where you set that up. I'm going to say that again. The data portion, the data tab here determines the information that you're able to show up or show on your page. Even though you have the opportunity to design it in various ways, it will still show the information that you have on the back end, which means that the specific information that you want people to show must be on the back end. If it's not showing up, it means it's not on that back end, on the tables on Glide and you have to put it up. This layout, this is of course our layout here, where you're able to arrange or design your stuff. And the action here gets people, this is where you create a workflow that determines what happens when people take specific actions on your mobile application. Now, that brings us to this particular column, this right tab here. You have general, you have options. Now, under general, you have the sheets, which is the data. So, for instance, I want the profile information to show on this page. It means that I'm able to select which data on the back end is showing up here. So if I select this one, it's an empty table. I have not set up anything. Then there's a user table that comes default with Glide, right? It will show you information on that. So you can create a page and determine what information shows up on the back end. Now, this is where you determine what happens. So name, if I come here and I say I don't want name here, I want email here. If you click email, for instance, can you see that it changed to email? So this is also where you're able to now edit how the information that the sheet brings up, how it shows up. So you can see that I've already switched out everything. So now you have email, you have, okay, so name is not showing up there for you. Even pictures can show up there. So it's a default email line. Anyways, email, and then you can move it anyhow that you like, right? Now the next one is the options. I can now give it a title, and you should do that. So if it is a home page, name it a home page, so that when you need to use that page again, you can easily identify which one of them is a home page. Please ask questions, because I know we've got into the technical part of this thing. Ask questions if you don't understand. Finally, the next thing you're going to come to here is this settings. This is where you kind of set up your app the way that you want it to look. So you have the opportunity to change the name and the icon. Right now, the name says Oluwabamike's app. I don't want that. I want it to read NOLA code tutorial. Okay, tutorial. What's happening? All right. So that's the name. The name will change. Can you see immediately? If you look up here, NOLA code, the name has changed. Now, I want to show the icon and the title. And there's this diamond shape in here as the logo. I don't want that anymore. I'm going to click upload, and it would allow me to be able to access any picture on my back end. Let me look for a picture. Okay, let me pick this pretty woman and put it here. You would see that the logo would change. So this is me personalizing my app. Do you get? So now the icon has changed, which is the logo. My name has changed and all of that. I can put a description in here if I like, right? So that's one way, the first step to customizing your app. The second one is to change the appearance. Changing the appearance now includes you changing your colors. So you have two designs to pick from. I'm not going to sleep here. I'm just going to show you how to pick your colors. If you like any of these colors, select them, right? That's totally up to you. But if you don't have a color, you can't see any color that you like, click on this one and you can either use a hex code. A hex code is the set of codes, a set of numbers that will give you an exact shade of color that you're looking for. Or you can come here and pick anything that you like. Totally up to you. Um, at the end of the day, you're customizing your own mobile application. For today's class, I have a favorite color 22031F. Okay. If it says not valid, put a hashtag in front of it. Hash. Fantastic. So that's my color. That's my preferred color. Keep it. Um, then we have, do you want it to be, do you want this on the left hand side or do you want it on the top? I prefer it on the left hand side. Um, I want a deep color like this. I want this auto. So this auto here allows them to be able to switch between light and dark modes. I want the background this one. This is fine. So this is totally up to you. You can literally do whatever it is that you like with your app. You then the next thing is you want to come to privacy. So for our class, you're not going to make your um, app private. You're going to make it a public app. Okay. Integrations. This is where you get to integrate it and link it to other software which is currently not applicable to you. Then you want to create your users and applications. How do you want people to sign in? So because your app right now is a public app, you can see that it's not asking you to, the authentication does not include email signing, right? But you can ask people to access requests. This way, not every Tom, Dick, and Harry has an asset has access to your stuff. Then on your sign-in screen, you can also edit this. Do you want to say hello, hola, adios, whatever it is you want to put in there, right? You can literally do this, and this setup is done. Are we still together in this class? I'm waiting to read your responses. Are you following through? Okay, fantastic. Any other person still following through? So now, the first thing we want to do is to go create our pages. Now, let's quickly refer to our user flow that we designed again. So we can see we have the static page, the home page, the dashboard, the to-do list page, and the calendar, and we're going to start from there. So the static page has already been designed for us because that static page is where people come in and you ask them to sign into your app. So let's create the home page. Now we are going to first and foremost say home page. So you click on plus and you click custom screen. You click on this and you click custom screen. Okay. Now the first thing you want to do with your custom screen is come to this label here and give it the appropriate label called home page. That's what we wanted, right? So that's home page. Let's create another one. Custom screen. We have dashboard. Come here again, name it dashboard. Create another custom screen and we're going to name it to-do list page. To then we'll create another one called the calendar. Okay. What is our last page? To-do list dashboard. Okay, so just 5 of them. Okay. So for now we have 5 pages, right? We have the home page, dashboard, to-do list, calendar, and the static page has already been automatically created for us. Okay. All right then, fantastic. Now let's quickly do some. If we go back to our tab, to our user flow, we can see that the tab here, on the tab, we only have link to the home page, the dashboard, the to-do list page. Okay, so all of these 4 pages actually are linked to the tab. So it means that they are going to show up on our tab. Okay, that's great. So we have the tab, which is here. This lower part here is the tab. So all 4 of them are meant to show on the tab. However, the names of these pages can, but we need icons for it to show. There has to be a way for people to, be able to say this app, this is what it looks like. Sorry, this tab, this is the icon, this is where it is going. So you have to use specific icons to represent each of the pages, and that's very important. Apart from that, let me quickly show you something. So if you created a page that you don't want people to see on this tab, or as you hover your mouse over this page, you can see, you see this I button. If you click on it, it would remove your page from the tab. Okay. Now, if you move this page to this side, for instance, it would also remove it from the tab, but it adds it to the menu. You can see to-do list. Do you get that? Okay, so I'm going to return this to where it is, and we are just quickly going to this. So the home page, come in here, you can see the icon. The icon that is there right now is not correct. This is what the home page icon looks like. So we're going to click on it, and as you can see, it changes immediately. For the to-do list, let's come in here and look for a list icon. So that's a list icon. You can see that you change it. For your dashboard, let's see if we can find a dashboard icon. Dashboard. Good. So this is a dashboard icon. And finally, we have a calendar. So you come in here, type in calendar. See the calendar icon. So now you can easily tell from your tab. Okay. So now that we have our pages set up and we have our tabs set up, I mean, we are halfway through. Now, I want you to also note something that happens. Every time you click on home page, the title of the app changes. Can you see? It changes. Oh, this is dashboard. That's the wrong spelling. Dashboard. Calendar. Good. Now remember what I told you, how the information on the back end determines what you see on the front end. Let's go to the back end and create the same pages for these people. Here, you're now going to, this is an empty table. So I'm going to create home. I'll click plus again, blank table. I'm going to call it dashboard. Click another one again, blank table. And call it to-do list. What other page is there? I'm going to click a blank table again. And I'm going to click calendar. Fantastic. So we're creating these pages on the back end just in case we need them. Okay. Am I alone on this call? So for today's class, we are just going to go ahead and see if we can build out one or two pages. And these are styles. I'm not sure that I even spoke about that. These are styles that are pre-designed. Do you get that can display your data in various ways? So it can display your data in a way that looks like cards or a list or tables or data grids or a checklist or a calendar. And then there's a Kanban view. So today let's build out the home page and the calendar. So what do we want on our home page? On our home page, we want a form. Let me just show you. Let's just switch to it again. So we can see that our home page is the first page and it has a form, right? So, and one very important thing happens here. It means that this, you can see that, did you take a look at the arrow, the way the arrow goes? I don't know if you can see this very well. Let me scroll, let me increase it. So did you see this arrow here? What this is saying is that this home page can only lead to the form. It is the form that leads to the dashboard. But right now on the app that we have, you can actually click the dashboard and it will show up. But we don't want that. So what this is saying in literal sense is that you have to fill the form first in order to be able to view the other pages on this app. So how do we do that? We'll get to it very shortly. But on the home page, it has a form. So for this home page component in here, I am going to add something they call a container. Okay, I'm going to add a container. Now I can put different things in this container and edit them. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the background color. I'm going to change the background color to dark. Okay. Now I'm going to insert a component called a spacer. What a spacer does is it allows you to put spaces in between components. But in order to be able to get my full colored background that I'm looking for, yes, I'm going to use a spacer. So let me show you what happened. When it was just a container, even though the background was meant to be dark, even though the background was meant to be dark, the spacer, I couldn't see. So let's just add a spacer again. Okay, so I'm going to put this spacer just to be able to make sure I have more spaces. Now on this spacer here, you see small, medium, large to your stuff. I'm going to select large, right? And I'm going to duplicate it again until I have most of my page full. And I'm going to leave it at that. Now, how do I get people to fill a form? I personally prefer to have a text in here and then a button saying fill out this form. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. Do you get what I mean? The decision is yours. So for me, what I want to do is add a text here and add a button. For some people, they might not want too much wahala. They just want a form in there. That will be up to you. But for the purpose of this class, I'm going to put text here. So it means that if I'm going to put text here, the next thing I want to put is look for a text component. You can type text component. If you try type text component, it will give you different options. I'm picking a headline because I want the what's it called? The text to be bold. Now, I want you to see something in particular. Am I not can you see what I'm doing? Oh, uh, I didn't switch it over. Okay, you should be able to see my screen now. And nobody told me that they couldn't see my screen. Okay, so I'm just going to continue. Now, if you take a look at this headline, it is it is not sitting on the background that I created for it. And I believe this is the main reason why. It's not inside the container. So you're going to drag it until it's inside the container because it can be outside the container if you want, or it can be inside. But you have to drag it inside because the whole reason why I'm creating this background is because I want it here. Yes. So now you can see that dragging it in my container, my headline is inside the container. So now that I have my headline is saying medium. Headline is saying medium. I want large headline and I want it in the center. So I'm going to write my welcome bankers tutorial on no code apps. Fantastic. So here I have my text already on the background that I designed for it. Now I'm going to add I want to add a form, a button that will lead to a form. So let's do that. You can actually type out what you want. I want one single button. Now, if you see what happened again, the button is also outside of the container that I designed for it. So I'm going to drag it in to the container again. Can you see? So I have my button on the container. So let's edit this. I don't like the button looks dark here. So I'm going to take the accent off. Can I make it minimal or like a tile or basic? Okay, it should actually be giving me white options now, but don't worry, let's not bother ourselves about that too much. So now that I have all of the information that I want in here, I'm going to look for a way for my page to be full of these colors. So I'm going to add my separator again. Separator. But the separator is also outside. So I'm going to move the separator into the container. Remember that it's a container that is receiving the colors, right? So everything has to go in the container. Now that I have one more, I think I'm just going to, you know, it's small size. I'm going to make it large and I'm going to duplicate it once. Maybe let's see the second time. Okay, that's fine. So now you can see that I have my whole background. Um, I have it all listed out. So this is my home page. My home page is done now. I want this button to be a form button, right? Let's take a look at what's it called now? Um our user flow. So on this home page, there will be a form button. It is only people who fill out this form that will be allowed to go to the dashboard. So let's set up the form. So the button is the one that they click, right? So I feel like let me add this. Let me move up this separator. Okay. So what I did was to put a separator between the text and the button so that there's a little space in between it. Now let's go and edit our button. Currently, our button says go. Doesn't make a lot of sense. So we're going to click on the action button. Remember what I told you about the action button? The action button is what determines the action is what determines what happens after the button has been clicked, right? So we click on this button right now. The first thing we want to do is we want to change the name. Let's say fill the form now. Okay, if you want to put an icon, that's up to you. You can put like a pencil icon telling them you need to write this. Now this is where the action is. So if you click this button, what will happen? Right now it shows show notification, which doesn't make any sense. Let me click it. Can you see? It said success. Doesn't make any sense. So we want it to do something else instead. We want every time anybody gets to this page and they click this form, right? It should open and they click this button, it should open up a form. Mommy. It should open up a form. So you click on this. Ah, eh. So you can see that when you want to set up the action for this phone, for this button rather, there are different actions for you to pick from. You can add data, you can add interaction, you can email, you can direct it to another place, right? Which is what we are going to do right now. So you are going to click navigation and we want to show a form screen. A form screen. So I'm going to click show form screen. I can also say slide, maybe I want it to slide in or overlay. So let's see what slide in looks like. If you click form fill, can you see it slid in? That's what it said you should do. You can also change it to say overlay. So if I choose overlay and I click form, it will just put it over, right? So you have different options depending on what catches your fancy. For me, I like to have a slide in. Okay. So now that we've chosen that, we can now edit our form. Number one, so this is the form that comes natively to Glide. However, you can edit it, you can update it, you can add more information, you can remove information, you can literally do whatever it is you want to do by manipulating this arena. Now, the first thing, it has a name. Absolutely, it's okay. Email, okay. Image picker, yes. Image picker, because you want your the people who use your app to have a profile picture, then a role. Very important that you do that. um you can also do something that I like to do, and it is called um it is called a unique identifier. So if you use a unique identifier, it allows you to create a specific identifier for the person, like a specific set of numbers that it is only that person that has it. Okay, so don't worry too much. It just usually have a user ID. Everybody who creates an account on any platform has their own user ID. So let's go back to our form. Now what you do is you have written out your information that you want to collect. The question is, when you collect this information, what do you want to do with the information? Where should the information go to? Where would the information be stored? That's the question. So somebody is using your app now and they fill this form and they click submit. Where will it go to? You have to determine where your app will go to um when it clicks submit. So now you can see destination, meaning that when your form has been filled, where is the information going to? You now pick a table based on the data table that you designed here. Remember, we designed tables here. So where we are going is, we want you to go to the users table, so that in another page we can use the information that we gathered here to show information on another page. So we want you to go to the users table. On submission, what do you want it to do? For me, I want it to navigate. It should go to another tab. I want it to go to dashboard, okay, which is one of the ones we created here. So what that means is, when somebody successfully completes this form and fills it in and they click submit, it will direct them to where? Dashboard. Now, what other thing can I do here? You can also make these places compulsory, whether you if you want. So if you don't make it compulsory, it means that somebody can choose not to fill the form. Have you gotten some forms that you wanted to fill and you didn't know, you wanted to jump it, but it's telling you that it's a required place? Why? They've set it up that way that you cannot submit a form without filling that place, because they need that information, to show some things on another page, like your dashboard, like your profile page. All of the information in there will be gathered from somewhere like this, so they can insist on it. Now, it will be a good idea for you to insist on the information that you absolutely need, and this way you do that. So you click each of the individual fields and you click required. Next one, required. Image required. This row is not required. So it means that they can choose to either submit this row or not. Okay. Um yeah. So I think that's about it, people. That's how you set up your form and submit. Destination, when you're done. So let's test it out. Let's test out what we have just set up. Number one, click fill the form. So I'm going to fill tests, testing, email, testing at gmail.com. Then I'm going to try to submit. Can you see? It's not giving me the option to submit because there's still a required spot. So I'm going to click that required spot and select a picture. So if you looked at it as it was uploading it, you will notice that immediately the picture was complete, this submit button became clickable. Even though there's still a field, there's still the row there that I haven't filled. So which means I can choose to complete and submit this or not. So I'm just going to go ahead and submit. And I was instantly directed to the dashboard. I was instantly directed to the dashboard. So, ladies, I'm going to call it a day here because you have quite a lot of things to think about. You have to go rewatch this, and when you're done rewatching it, you are going to set up your own Glides account, and it is due on Thursday. So your activity between now, what's today's date? Today is Wednesday, Abi. So you have the whole of tomorrow to work on this. So set up your Glides account the way that I showed you. Create your pages, work on the data on the back end, and create your first home page. Now, you will not be able to do this with your what's it called? You will not be able to do this with your mobile devices. Here's my advice for you. You can actually go to a cyber cafe. I don't know how many cyber cafes exist these days, but I know they still exist. So go to a cyber cafe and find a way to do your assignment. Okay. Tomorrow we will have a quiz. Um, I feel like the resource is ready. I'm not sure. I'll ask the team. The resource should be ready for you. Take the resource, watch the replay of this video, and work on your assignment. Tomorrow we'll have a quiz. Tomorrow, Thursday, we'll have a quiz. In the evening, I expect to see the links to your own mobile application. Okay, at least set up the first pages, like I showed you. Set up the data pages, like I showed you. Customize your app, like I showed you, and create the home page, like I showed you, so that we can have another class again on Friday. Whew. All right, ladies. Any questions for me before we call it a day? Okay, I'm going to assume that there are no questions. Have a lovely evening, people. Good night.